I call the member for Gympie.
Thank you, Mr. Deputy Speaker. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I note that simply rising to my feet intrigues those opposite, and they should pay attention for the next 5 minutes as to what will be going forward. Mr. Deputy Speaker, I do wish to commence by indicating that I wish to make a contribution to Estimate Committee C, and I'd like to recognise the Chair, the member for Waterford, and despite his the spin that he displayed just a moment ago, in his role as the Chair, he did an outstanding job, and I also commend the other members of the committee. I think, as was quite rightly pointed out by the member of Callide, it was a very effective committee. It worked particularly well. I'd also like to put on the record thanks to Renee Easton and Jenny North, the Secretariat, for the great work they did, and I should also acknowledge the Minister and his staff from Department of Infrastructure and Planning for their preparation and their willingness to be involved in the Estimates Committee and to provide information where they can. That being said, Mr. Deputy Speaker, it is with some reluctance, and it has been acknowledged already, that I prepared a dissenting report to the committee's report, and I did that not lightly. I did that not lightly, Mr. Deputy Speaker, because the concerns that I have are about the failure of the Minister to explain $75 million in expenditure. And I note the interjections from the Treasurer, and he may be happy. He may be happy to have a budget line item of $75 million that could not be explained in Estimates Committee, but I will not accept that on the behalf of the people of Queensland. They have a right to know where the money is being spent. And when questions are being asked again and again, and the failure of the Minister, even when he took the question on notice and then provided a response, the best he could provide was weed management, in addition to the budget highlight comments that he had reiterated over and over again. This is the difference that occurs between this side of politics and that side, Mr. Deputy Speaker. On that side, they are loose and quick with money. On this side, we want to ensure that there is the expenditure that can be shown. Mr. Deputy Speaker, there are concerns that I will address also with regards to the process. I note that Standing Orders 181.3 clearly states that the Minister is required to provide the answers to questions on notice by 10 a.m. The answers were not provided until over an hour and 45 minutes late. With a short process, a short window of only 24 hours to take on those answers and prepare for the Estimates Committee process, it is unacceptable that those answers were late. It is unacceptable. The concerns that I've alluded to, though, are with regards to the inability of the department, and in particular for the Minister, to provide sufficient detail. When we are going through the Estimates Committee process, we do so on behalf of the people of Queensland. And there is a concept called the separation of powers between the executive and the parliament. And it is clearly something that is not understood on that side of the House. It is not understood, and I note with disappointment the comments from the member for Waterford, because I'm told through media reports that he was one of the few, one of two, that was willing to stand up against the asset sell-off that was being proposed. He was someone who had true conviction and appreciated a different point of view. Well, what I have put forward here in this Estimates dissenting report, Estimates Committee C dissenting report, is an alternate view. It is a view that says the people of Queensland have a right to know how $75 million is going to be spent. And despite being asked not just once by myself as a question on notice, but also by the member for Chatsworth as a question on notice, and failing to provide an answer, then being asked during the committee process, and the Minister again failing to provide an answer, and then taking the question on notice, and once again failing to provide an answer, it beholds me to ensure that the people of Queensland are aware that I will not be supporting a government's expenditure that cannot be adequately explained. Now, my report has been accepted into the committee report, so I will of course be voting to accept it, as I would expect others would, because my report is part of that. It is part of the committee report, and I expect anyone who believes in good governance and believes that ministers should be able to explain their expenditure would support this, this dissenting report, because the people of Queensland have heard for far too long about poor infrastructure planning. We've had 2 recent Auditor General's reports that have been critical of the department, and indeed the Auditor General has referred to infrastructure projects only being considered successful if they deliver intended benefits at an acceptable cost. There were no intended benefits.